Good morning. I am driving the new MINI Aceman. So it's a brand new model. I would say is the second tiniest? So you see, the Mini Cooper is a small car, 2 doors, very tight seats, and then you have the Clubman, Countryman that came out over the years and they grow in size. The Clubman grew by a lot. And many years ago, they have the Paceman? Anyway, they have cut off the 2-door Countryman in the now previous generation Countryman, the one that was really popular and was everywhere, the second generation Countryman. They've cut off the 2-door variant with the slanting roof. They have cut off the Coupe Mini Cooper. I forgot what is that even called, the one with the reverse baseball cap looking Mini. And then the Countryman was selling, the Clubman was selling for a while, and the 3-door, the 2-door, the small tiny Mini Cooper is no longer doing as well. But then they have the convertible variant, which is doing rather okay, and then they have the Mini 5-door. Okay, now they have sort of consolidate the models and they grow the Countryman by significantly. So the Countryman is a huge car now. It is very spacious. It is just basically big. And then I think they did the right move by launching this Aceman. This is now sort of like a off-road-ish kind of crossover. All right, there is a certain raised ride height appeal to it. It looks like a tiny SUV. It is roughly exactly what a Mini Countryman should be back then. And it will most definitely replace the 5-door Mini now that they have a new Mini Cooper. Why is it not charging? Maybe it's... Anyway. And I think it looks cute. There is a certain rather dumb looking face to it, you know, that kind of innocent, dumb looking. Okay, I'm wrong. No, I'm right. You know, the English Bulldog, you know, that kind of face where it's just you sort of go, oh, poor thing, you know, come, give you a hug, that kind of look, you know. Yeah, this is roughly how this car looks like. It's like a small, tiny, defenseless English Bulldog. Oh no, it's not an English Bulldog. It's a pug. Yeah, this thing is like a pug. All right, so it's cute on the outside, very attractive looking, front and back. The proportions look really small when you park next. I mean, I'm roughly the size of a Toyota Prius C, but inside it is spacious enough. So perfectly usable space. I can sit in the rear seats comfortably. Certainly more spacious in the rear than a Mazda 3. Okay, and so far I have no idea if there are any petrol variants of this car. It's EV, all right. But I think MINI is the brand that is most successful in integrating their brand ethos of being playful, fun, creative with the whole EV thing. You see, a lot of cars when they go into EV, especially the Chinese cars, I think this is a good lesson for Chinese cars on how to instill your own individualism, your own creativity into an EV. You don't have to resort to being the rather templatized format of a huge giant square screen here and then 2 wireless charging pads, and then is it a must to drop in loads of Napa leather look-alike, Alcantara look-alike materials and all that, plush everywhere. Yes, I love all those, but it is also rather becoming ubiquitous. That means they don't, you can't differentiate each car from one another Oh my God, the smell. Oh yeah, that comes to the biggest complaint that I have on this car. Okay, let me finish that first. Yeah, they've become rather ubiquitous. Whereas this one, without the logo, you can tell what car is it. A lot of Chinese cars, you just cover the logo, you no longer can tell where they're from, who they are, right? So it's about conformity and standing out, and play within your own deep understanding of what your brand is, and then from there you extend out into your products. And I think MINI does that really, really well with this new generation interior. The round screen, when I reviewed the Countryman, I said it's the best screen there is because it leaves 0 fingerprints, it is responsive, and it has 0 reflections. Not once did I see any visual thing that reflects across the surface. And I absolutely love it when I was reviewing the Countryman. And it has a perfect balance between creating your own user interface logic, right? Your own logic versus being user-friendly. They hit a good balance there. Those that did not hit a good balance in, if you are in pursuit of absolute ease of usability, the easiest way is to do it the Chinese way, right? Just press home screen and then you have all the icons out and then just scroll through the icons to go to where you want. There is no, they all look the same, it's just icons and all that. And with some random widget screen and then a wallpaper outside. This one has a lot of unique stuff going on. I'm not going to go into detail now, but one thing that bugs me the most is that every morning you start the car, there is an actual starter here. Every morning you turn it on, it forgets every single setting that you did the night before. It just sort of like refresh and just everything set back to default, almost. I believe it has something to do with the software. I think they desperately need a firmware update. I did not experience this with the Countryman. I can't be sure whether I experienced it or not, but I remember having that Countryman over the course of a few days, and if it were behaving like this, I would have caught it and complained in the video. All right, the aircon temperature defaults back to 22 degrees every time I turn on the car. The radio comes on even though I turned it off. Every single time it just comes on. The most frustrating part is the driving aids, the lane keep assist, the speed sensor warning. Now it doesn't make sound. Last night, even though I have turned it on, when I restart the car, the speed warning thing keep popping up and keep making sounds, even though I have turned it off. But this morning, it doesn't. And then I've turned off the lane keep assist and all that multiple times, and it turned back on. And then another thing that I experienced is I have paired my phone, Bluetooth pairing to this car at least 4 times. And now coming on to the car with my Bluetooth on, the car says connect telephone. So I think something must be different with this firmware as opposed to the Countryman that I drove. The other thing is the perceived lagginess of the screen. In the Countryman, I've never experienced any lag on the screen whatsoever, but in this one, more than one time that I press something and I have to wait for a while for it to come up. I cannot believe, or I don't think MINI will be so petty that if you buy the Aceman, they supply you with a lower end graphics chip processor. I don't think so. Wait, let me turn off the circulation first. It automatically opens up every time I switch on the car. I know it's a Europe regulation, but by right it should detect whatever outside and turn it off. Close it. It did not. So that's my complaint. I still like the interface. I still like the UI. It's just that it doesn't seem as smooth as the one in the Countryman, and the constant breaking off of the Bluetooth could be a firmware from my Samsung, or could be that of the car, because after driving the Countryman, there has been multiple rounds of firmware updates. As you know, being a Samsung user, 1 year you probably get 6 firmware updates. I just do not know why they need to do that much. Anyway, the drive. Okay, this part of the video is about the drive. It's very mini, very, very mini. All right, I'm sure they can make the car more comfortable, less reactive to the road, but that would have robbed away the whole mini character, which is like the Countryman. The Countryman behaves like a BMW. I mean modern BMWs. I don't mean the usual perceived BMW. Modern BMWs is all about plush, comfort, quiet, comfort, and plush and quiet and comfort. All right, the Countryman no longer feels like something from a Mini DNA. Apart from the design, the fun part of it, the whole driving experience of that car is just really stable, comfy, spacious, plush as in the ride, not the interior. All right, but this one, being an ex-Mini owner, I used to have a Clubman S, Cooper S, R56 generation. The way this car reacts to the road reminds a lot of that. But one thing good is that it never once bottom out. That means even though you felt the car reacts to the road a lot, but there was never once whereby the suspension run out of its breath, like boom, hitting a bump stop or something. None of that. So you can definitely tell, if you're experienced enough in testing cars, you can definitely tell that it is intentional, because the car can take a beating, but it just wants you to have that immediate road feel. So any bumps on the road and all that, right, the car will react. Another thing would be the front wheels versus the steering. All right, I don't know whether it's the right place to explain this. So let's imagine my elbow to my fist. Okay, the greater the angle and distance from your steering wheel to your from your suspension mount, and steering wheel as well, actually is sort of correlated in terms of the distance and all that. All right, the greater distance between that, and also the greater distance between basically this is your suspension mount and your wheels. This is exaggerated. I don't mean it is that angle, okay? This is exaggerated. But from your mount to where your wheels are mounted, if it is pushed out, your car will be more stable at high speeds. If it is reduced in, you have a lot of movement that makes you feel that the car is extremely nimble. You know, that kind of basically when you're cruising at high speeds, if it's nearer, you need to hold your steering wheel more often. That is the short way of explaining it to you. Okay, so this car has a lot of that sort of movement, which all plays into the role of it being a small, fun go-karty kind of feel. So if your pursuit is how much money you spent to get how much comfort you deserve for your money, you're better off with the BYD. You know, a Dolphin or what. I have no idea about the selling price, but obviously it's going to be the cheapest Mini, all right? But and it won't be as cheap as a HRV. Don't even dream about it, right? But nevertheless, this is the cheapest Mini, and if your pursuit is to have the most comfortable car versus how much money you spent, then definitely this is not your choice. You're better off with the BYD, right? They're more plush, more comfortable, blah, 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 yada, 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 yada. However, everybody also knows a Camry is comfortable, right? And you can, when I tell you someone who drives a Camry, you have an immediate impression of how that person looks like. Or in retrospect, if you are someone who work in the creative industry, right? You see this guy who is a art director, all right? He or she has his special fashion sense. You know, there's probably a tinge of purple on his hair that he dyed or she dyed, you know, or green or whatsoever. Very unique glasses, very stylistic person, right? The bag that they hold and then the shoe that they wear is just unique fashion sense. Sorry, darling, what do you want? Oh, you can charge your phone, no problem. Yeah, fetching the kids to school. Anyway, so just imagine that person who's an art director who dresses uniquely. Just can you imagine this person after finishing his or her work going to the parking lot and hop into a Toyota Camry? Just doesn't suit that person, right? It totally blows away the whole character, the whole vibe. But if this person were to go to the parking lot and hop into a Mini Cooper, it's a totally different thing, right? So it's about people who don't mind having less space, less comfort, but that whole thing that they feel good, it matches their individuality, right? Everybody knows a big backpack can hold more stuff, right? But is everyone gonna buy that? Not everyone will forever pursue or buy the best bang for buck thing out there, you know, like BYDs, all right? Not everybody would do that. Some people would prefer to be unique. They want their own style. They just want something that sort of, you know, that term that vibrates with them. You know, I'm an old man to use this kind of term. Anyway, so I hope you get the point here, all right? I absolutely like what this car sets out to achieve, pursue, and the end result of it, I think it is a damn well executed scope of brief of what they want to achieve, and it's very easy for the car buying public or that sort of people who they are targeting to immediately understand the brief and buy it. You know, it's well done. It is job well done. The size of the steering wheel, the way the car drives, the way the car looks, the way the interior was designed, the way here shoots out some lights to pretend these designs light up at night. They don't light up at night, but they look like they do, but it's a very cheap way of doing it, which is from lights shooting out here. And I love the way they play with plastics. This, you see, the thing is this, for too long a time, everyone has been trying to use plastics to mimic other materials, right? But plastics has their merits, right? Plastics look fantastic in Legos, right? There are times, every material has their own way of shining. That means they embrace that material and make the best use of it for what it is, right? So the whole interior is filled of hard plastics, but the way they design them, the way they have all these little elements, I'll go through the interior detail later where you'll be able to see in detail, but I just love how they executed it. I don't mind this particular car, this particular segment and what it is doing to employ plastics in this manner. It is a smart way to be cheap. So we all know plastics are cheap, right? But instead of fully chippening out like a lot of Japanese cars where they just give you a slab of plastic look-alike stuff and the whole thing is just there. The way they do it is very clever. It's very similar to how Volvo did the EX30, you know, the XC40. They execute plastic in a clever manner that you don't mind, right? So, yeah. As for the drive, it is fun. It is fast enough. The brakes are well calibrated. The steering, everything. The car just drives well. And the most surprising part is that despite its size, it's way more spacious than this 1 Series over here. There's way more room behind. Going in and out of the car is easier. The boot space is reasonable. So it's a perfectly usable daily EV that can do almost everything that you do throughout a day. Fetch your colleagues, you know, fetch your kids, fetch your parents. I mean, they don't have a lot of room, but going in and out is perfectly okay. And the car has a very small footprint. So it is a very, very well executed car. All right. As for the drive, no complaints. You get radar, cruise control. Soundproofing is relatively all right for what it is. You will hear sounds from outside, but I don't mind it at all because of how the car is positioned, how the car behaves. All right. Now, there are some things that you will notice when driving a Mini. Say, for example, now that the Subaru is further away from me, I'm talking about a default setting, all right? None of whatsoever setting has been done. Now that the Subaru is further away from me, I can drive smoother, okay? One way that I notice only Mini is doing it for now. I have no knowledge of other car makers doing it. It is proactive energy recuperation pretending to be brakes. So what do I mean by that? When the Subaru is further away from me, as I release my throttle, the car can continue on its own momentum easier. However, if I go nearer to the cars in front, the Distronic of the car, the radars, would proactively measure the distance between my car and the car in front and decides for me when it wants to employ braking, but it's actually energy recuperation. That means to recharge energy back into the car. So it is more proactive. When there are things in front, they immediately use the opportunity to recuperate energy. I'll give you an example. You are following a car, both of you turn on your turn signals, and both of you want to negotiate a turn, and then after the turn, you know it is a dead straight. Okay? So, at times, for human intuition when we are driving, we know for a fact that now that car is entering the turn first before me, hence the car will slow down before me, hence I would creep closer to that car while it is negotiating this turn. However, before I manage to hit the car or get too near or get uncomfortably near, that car would have begun to accelerate and sped off. We know that intuitively from our years of driving experience, right? It's a very simple thing that we don't even realize we're doing. However, while doing these things in this car or in modern Minis, I noticed this happening in the Countryman as well. I forgot to mention it in the Countryman. The car will employ rather aggressive engine braking, which is energy recuperation. So without you expecting it, suddenly a few of you in the car would feel, you know, just because you've gotten momentarily getting nearer to the car in front, it's not proactive braking. It is not even near to that distance. I'm not talking about half a car length distance where emergency automatic braking was employed because of my dangerous driving or whatnot. No, I'm talking about normal driving distance that you keep with cars in front at different, you see, like now this one, I wanted to just follow its speed, but the moment I release my brakes, the car would have a rather, I could have glided easily or just follow through easily, but the car would employ, you know, a lot more energy recuperation, aka engine braking, than I would have liked. So that is one thing I want to point out. I don't see, maybe it's part of what is there to turn it off. You can turn it off. You can almost turn off everything, but every time you switch off the car, you do something, you buy a bread or something in 7-Eleven, you come back into the car, everything is back. The temperature is back to 22, because the car switches off the moment you park, right, and open the door. It goes off. Even though the aircon is still blowing, it goes off. And this car has a toggle to turn start stop. So you go down and do something, your family is still in the car, you come back into your car, you thought you can go, then you shift its gear, and then you wonder what's happening, then you realize you still need to turn it on. So yeah, again, I need to reiterate, I don't catch this problem that prevalent in the Countryman. So it could be a firmware thing, it could be just the Aceman, okay? Other than that, it's a fun car to drive. Having said what I said just now about the car's aggressive, distance-based, radar-based energy recuperation, I think I appreciate MINI for being very creative and proactive in coming up with ideas on how to, at best, recharge as much as possible in daily driving. All right, I'm sure they would have improved in the logic of it further down the road. All right. Other than that, I'm just very happy with driving this car around. It may not be the most comfortable car. I mean, after 2 days, my wife and I was like, yeah, it's sort of, sometimes we don't want the car to be so excited by the road. You know, it keeps reacting to whatever it is, especially the fact that we have just came off the BYD Sea Lion. That car is 1,000,000 times more comfortable than this. All right, and that car is 1,000,000 times more spacious than this. But you see what I mean? That car belongs in the good-looking camp, but I have zero affection to it. This one is a ugly, attractive little pug or a British bulldog that I absolutely love. Right? So making people love your product is a very it's an art form, I would say, right? Hard plastics everywhere, not comfortable. Do you love the car? Yes. Yes, I love it. All right, cheers. See, this is the thing I have to suffer every time. Oops. This is the thing I have to suffer every time I got into the car. The radio, however many times I turn it off, it will just turn back on. And yeah, anyway, I don't like it. Okay, I'm now in the car's adaptive cruise control mode. I'm holding the right side because the car wants to pull back to the center of the lane, which is the correct thing to do. But because people here in Malaysia, in KL at least, I mean this Klang Valley at least, we have the habit of keeping to our right side to open up the middle for motorcycles to pass by. Okay, anyway, I can sense the car actively wanting to pull back, but it is not as aggressive as that in the BYD. I'm using a stronger grip than where if I'm in Volvo or Geely's cars or Proton, which allows me to pull my car to the right side of the lane without too much. Okay, let's see how the car interacts with this X70 that cuts in. Okay, not bad, not bad. I'm not touching the brakes at all. I'm letting the car do its thing. Not bad. And just now when the car comes to a halt for like 2 seconds, when the car in front rolls away, it continues on without much drama, without me pressing the plus or stepping on the throttle. I'm not sure if it will do it if it is a much longer wait. But so far, I've always had good things to say about BMW's adaptive cruise control. Certainly better than Mercedes-Benz's. Why is it not picking up speed yet? The car in front has rolled off. Oh, I'm at 46. Okay, that's the speed I set. Okay, let's put it up to 100 plus. The car begins to accelerate. I don't see a button for me to adjust the distance between me and the car in front. It would be nice if there is a plus minus button on the left side of the wheel for me to adjust the distance actively. I noticed BMW has been trusting their own logic now. They do it themselves, coupled with studying the distance between the car in front and then the brakes and then the optimum manner of proactively braking, which is actually energy recuperation. So they rather use whatever distance that may be available to recharge energy back into the car, rather than letting you cruise for a longer set of distance using up energy. So it's rather aggressive logic application in terms of energy recuperation, which I can get used to. It's not overtly crazy. So yep, there's no distance to be set here. Everything you have to trust and rely on the car, which is pretty logic. Even if this distance is from the camera, it doesn't look so, because the camera has a wide angle effect. It makes everything look further than they are. But I am roughly about 2 cars away from the Proton in front of me. Alright, so I have no doubts about BMW Group's adaptive cruise control. They have improved a lot. Alright.